Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everyone joining me here nice and early over in Marvel Snap Zone. Welcome back for another installment of Infinite Decks of the Week, the series where I walk you through a selection of deck lists submitted to us by the Marvel Snap community about decks they have played to reach the Infinite rank this week. Week 1 is always kind of all about who gets there the fastest. Week 2 we start seeing some trends, and unfortunately Week 3 tends to be the point where the metagame kind of starts to feel a little bit stale. Players looking to climb the ladder tend to pick among the already existing options, and as a result, this week's submissions will focus more on decks that you've probably heard about already, but maybe with a little bit of a twist, or archetypes that were labelled as being not particularly competitive over the last few weeks. As always, if you make the Infinite rank and you'd like to submit your deck to this show, there are a couple of ways you can do it. Come and tag myself, Den, CCG, HowlingMines, or just Marvel Snap Zone over on Twitter. Let us know what you play, show us a deck list, and let us know how the journey went. Alternatively, come and join the community Discord server in the description box down below and talk Marvel Snap 24/7 with thousands of other Snap players. You can drop a deck list in the deck chat channel and let us know that you made Infinite with it to have a chance at appearing on the show. With all that said, let's move on down and take a look at the first of the decks that managed to find an alternative route to the Infinite rank this week. Is Sauron a playable card? A new Series 5 kind of January 2023 card. They've caught a lot of heat recently, and arguably rightfully so. In addition to their prices and the odds of opening one being very low, most of the community finds them out of reach. The cards were also deemed not massively impactful and not worth considering as an investment in comparison to effects like Shuri or even cards like Darkhawk. Despite all the bad publicity around it, Sauron has still found a way to make an impact here and make its presence felt in one of the current best archetypes in the game. Arguably, Sauron is just a mass copy of Zero, removing the capacities of all your ongoing cards, which are the ones you'd be targeting with Zero most of the time. It only makes sense then to kind of see the card included in an archetype where Typhoid Mary and Red Skull were staples already. This isn't really anything groundbreaking so far, but it does show the card has found a home quickly and can be experimented around inside of this archetype and other ones. Also, the card truly feels like it serves a real purpose in this deck, which is quite nice, mostly because it's played in the first half of the game, with turns 4, 5 and 6 being completely inflexible due to trying to abuse Shuri's ability in this deck, and then copy the big thing created by it on turn 6. In order to include a new utility card in this strategy, it has to be one that costs 3 or less, which makes Sauron fit kind of perfectly in this role. This deck was kind of brought to us by Alinis. They added Den on Discord to kind of share this deck and have a chat about it. So sadly, no direct link on this one, unfortunately. Sorry, folks. But the deck list will be available for you in the article in the description box down below. Lockjaw on reveal, making some kind of comeback? Lockjaw on reveal is a deck that's had its fair share of struggles in the past. Cosmo is a really popular card in and around Silver Surfer decks, the average power ceiling increasing in the last 2 months. Alongside annoying locations being added to the game for this deck, it really hasn't been easy for the good boy as of late. But over the last week, it seems like the deck has picked up some nice momentum and is making a strong comeback in the metagame. We'll of course go into that a little bit more and the reasons for that in the comeback kind of article in the tier list tomorrow, but today let me, hear you cheering for Jammin's Gaming and their Infinite rank performance. In this take of the Lockjaw archetype, we're going back to the roots of the deck with Thor and Jane Foster Mighty Thor as the key cards, taking their place instead of the more recent Thanos direction of this deck. The rest of the deck is pretty standard, with cards aiming to cheat in big powerful cards and said big powerful cards that we're looking to cheat in at a discount. The maybe weird inclusion could be Hobgoblin here, which usually would be Vision or the cheaper Green Goblin, but this card still makes sense in the deck and could be a very nice pull off of Lockjaw as well, disrupting the opponent's ability to play onto your Lockjaw lane and get in the way of what you want to do. Just be careful not to discard it to Dracula at the end of the game. Another interesting inclusion here is Aero, arguably still just a top card in Marvel Snap, even after losing a point of power. I kind of wonder why this one was included, whether it was just to kind of drag potentially disruptive cards away from Lockjaw, or to force the opponent into Lockjaw's lane one would usually expect to win. Not entirely sure on this one. Look forward to hopefully playing some games with the deck and finding out myself in the near future. There are also many more ideas around Lockjaw this week, but in Sauron Zero, Jesse James kindly let us know they climbed to Infinite with both of these decks, Shuri List and Lockjaw, kind of the perfect summary of both of the previous things we've talked about together. Apparently, the real MVP of getting to Infinite this month was Armor to help getting through all of these featured locations. Last but not least, we've got a pretty sweet one here. Your own collection can do just fine. This is a list coming in from Jimmy Gortham, or 0xJ Gortham over on Twitter. A bit of a Destroy synergy, a pinch of Disruption, a couple of tech cards, and Aero, White Queen to represent the good cards crew. There's really no real way of describing this deck exactly. It looks like the patchwork of several packages thrown together, but in a somewhat harmonious way. The Destroy synergy, helped by Sunspot and Viper, take care of the early game, and then the end game's covered by White Queen, Aero, and Dr. Octopus, making points and disruption kind of two things you're both interested in. In the middle of this build, we have three disruptive cards in the form of Green Goblin, Cosmo, and Shang-Chi, providing some reactive punch and adaptability going into those late turns. Is this a deck that will make it onto the tier list? Probably not, but is it a deck I would vouch for and tell the community to take is a super safe climb over the course of the Infinite rank? No, I'm not sure about that either, to be completely honest with you, but I still love this deck because it shows the most important trait of a Marvel Snap ladder grinder currently. You can perform with the cards that you have access to. Of course, some of us have it way better than others, and seeing people share their opinion on cards or decks that I can't even think about getting in the next week or month isn't the most pleasant experience. But on the flip side, it also creates these Cinderella-style stories where players manage to reach their goal with a completely off-meta deck that made sense in regards to their collection and their play style. It also makes the Infinite climb even more deserved in the end, so very big congratulations to Jimmy here for the work they have managed to do. Overall, it's a pretty quiet week in Infinite decks in terms of innovation to climb the ladder. I kind of expect that to be the natural course of things, as the middle of a season usually sees players picking up established archetypes to finish their climb, so they get onto their crazy ideas once the Infinite climb is completed, especially with a little bit of an extra incentive to do so this month in the form of this golden card back reward. Even without much waves, we still got the chance to see Sauron in action, have an old-timer return to relevancy, and see a unrefined collection shining in the spotlight. So this week isn't all lost either. Hopefully next week we'll have a little bit more spice to it, as less competitive decks that will, kind of utilize the normal Zabu and Silver Surfer decks are seeing play below the Infinite rank and be able to wow us with some innovative play patterns. Even better, maybe a counter to those strategies will emerge and something will cruise to Infinite and blow our minds in the process. No matter what happens, we will be around to tell you all about it next week. Until then, you can of course find the entire Marvel Snap Zone team over in the Discord, or ourselves personally over on Twitter. If you haven't subscribed to the channel here at Marvel Snap Zone, do me a favour and press that button. Make sure you aren't missing out on any of the video content coming out from the team here at Marvel Snap Zone. Of course, feel free to like the video and leave a comment to keep the YouTube gods happy while you're down there for me. But until next time, I have been HowlingMines. You've been amazing, and this has been Marvel Snap Zone. Take care. Have a good one.